Sky Squad, we are back in the building, and your boy is jet lagged. So, not on camera today, but best believe I will be back in action tomorrow. That flight from Japan back to America is no joke. FYI. So, let's get into the business. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, go ahead and do so. Hit the notification bell button and smash that like button if you like reality TV related content. Smack it up, flip it, and rub it down. Okay, so let's get into it. First thing we're going to talk about is Jennifer Williams' fiance, Christian, being sentenced to jail weeks before their wedding. Shout out to our friends over at the Jasmine brand for the tea. Now, we knew that Jennifer had been posted this man while they was out of town, out the country, and then the officers then found out about it because they didn't seen it online. So now he has been sentenced to jail for probation violation 1 week before their wedding. So he was taken into custody on Friday in Georgia's DeKalb County Courthouse. The judge sentenced Christian to 15 days behind bars. Now, the judge will apparently allow Christian to serve 2 days in jail before temporarily releasing him so he can walk down the aisle because their wedding is set for September 14th in Paris. Now, the judge is also allowing Christian to travel overseas for their wedding, but afterwards, there won't be no honeymoon because he got to return to the county to serve 13 more days behind bars. Now, for those of you guys who didn't know, he was on probation for false imprisonment charge for which he served 30 months and was released in early 2018 and put on probation. Still, a couple of months ago, authorities say he traveled out of the US without permission from his probation officer. Okay, so there's also video of Christian, I believe, in the courthouse with what is allegedly $1,000 sweater on. It's like, bro, come on now. Like, typical protocol is that you go to court and you are dressed rather conservatively. But whatever. Here we are. A lot of people are feeling like these are red flags for Jennifer, for which I believe that Jennifer will probably like she's gonna still ignore these flags. So it is what it is at this point. So in my mind, I'm like, go ahead, girl, get your man. Hopefully this goes well for y'all. Hopefully he's a changed man. But you can't say that people didn't warn you if it don't go right. Hopefully it does. Cause she don't always seem to have the best of luck when choosing a man. And that's no shade to her. It's just that based on the past people that she's dated publicly, it just seems like they haven't been the right choices. So I don't have no cut cards today because I'm so tired. All I can say is, may the odds ever be in your favor, Jen. Okay? And I'm sure we will see how this plays out on the next season of Basketball Wives, since this season has currently ended filming. All right, so let's get into something else. Did y'all happen to catch the mid-season finale of Love and Marriage Huntsville? If you did not, we're going to talk about it just a little bit, right? I'm not going to get into it too heavy because, again, I happened to catch it yesterday when I was trying to catch up on some sleep, and it was a good episode. If I had to rate it, I would give it a 9.5 out of 10. A couple of things that I feel like we need to address, and a lot of y'all not going to like it, but that's fine. I don't have no favorites on this show. I think I like everybody on this cast, just about. I love me some Melody. I love me some Destiny. I like Letitia. I like Kimmy. Miss Nell is a hoot. I like Stormy. Trisha is becoming more interesting to me. And Dr. Shanita is the shot of adrenaline that I feel like shows sometimes need in order to get the party started. You either gonna love her or you gonna hate her. And that's just the way it goes. My firm belief is that on reality TV, everybody's right and everybody's wrong. It just depends on their perspective. Okay? So let's get into the tea of it all. In this episode, the ladies head to the beach before Destiny gets there. So, what we experience are the ladies breaking off into two different groups. There is Letitia, Stormy, and Kimmy out in the water after they go jet skiing. Then there's Melody, Dr. Shanita, I believe Sunny, and I believe Miss Nail. Now, Letitia, Kimmy, and Stormy are all wondering how things are going to be when Destiny gets there. Their hope is that things can remain fun. The other group are talking about Jesus and Judas, okay? And they're talking about really the follow up conversation with Dr. Shanita saying that, you know, Letitia is the ops, okay? Because she can eat at a table with her enemies. Now, to me, if that's the case, all y'all ops, because all y'all was eating at the table together, and half of them don't like each other. So, what is that? What does that make you? Like, you can't have it both ways. It can't be that you gotta watch out for somebody else, but you doing the same thing that you talking about them doing. It is what it is. This reality TV. We know how this thing work. The people don't really like each other, but they gotta make a show. So get over it. The next thing I gotta say is it is very clear that on this show, Melody is an executive producer. Therefore, I feel, and I could be wrong, that a lot of the women, to a certain degree, try to give her that respect. You can sort of tell in the interactions at this point, particularly with Kimmy and Letitia. They kind of just go along to get along, whether they like her or not, whether she likes them or not. Everybody knows that the show works best when everybody is at least attempting to get along. However, what I don't want to see happen is I don't want to see Mel go in the way of what happened with Mariah, wherein there is a cast clash with her being the EP. I don't want to see that happen. So my hope is that they can all find a way to get along and get along in a real way because it's evident that there are definitely two factions within this cast and I just don't want to see it cuz I like it when they can at least get along, right? You know what I'm saying? It just feels better. So while one group is talking about everybody getting along, hopefully, the other group is talking about the other group, essentially. And when Mel compares the situation to Jesus and Judas, Miss Nell is like, well, is Mel really comparing herself to Jesus? Her fans have gassed her up. And I'm like, oh girl, that ain't gonna go over well for you. Um, do I think that Mel was considering herself Jesus? No. I think what she was doing was making a parallel, an analogy, so to speak. But I don't necessarily think she was comparing herself to Jesus. But I do think that she recognizes that she is the head cheerleader in charge because she's an executive producer. It is what it is. Okay. Now, there was some talk about whether or not Stormy was jealous of Belle. And Sunny seemed to kind of want to push that narrative. I don't think that Stormy is in any way, shape, or form jealous of Mel. Stormy came into the show successful and rich. There's nothing to be jealous of there. They're two women who are doing their own thing. So I just don't think that that's the case. I think that two women can exist on the show and be both powerhouses in their own right. So I don't think that Stormy is jealous at all of Mel, period. But I do think that most of the women on the show understand that Mel is an executive producer. And I'm just being real. And a lot of y'all not gonna like it. Y'all gonna say, you don't like this person, you don't like that person. Those are y'all's problems. Well, not all y'all. Y'all know who I'm talking, the people that I'm talking about. I don't have that problem. I like them all. That's why I like the show. Okay. So don't put me up in that. But I'm just gonna call it like I see it from an objective point of view. And if you don't like an objective point of view, this ain't the place for you. Period. Okay. Now we're gonna call a thing, and we're gonna keep it pushing. You don't like it, you don't like it. Now, continuing on. Um, Inviting Destiny on this trip is necessary because that's the way reality TV functions. So for those of you guys wondering why she's there, it is likely to ensure that she collects her check as well as everybody else. And that's just the name of the game. Don't act like you haven't seen these types of shows before, okay? In reality, would she go? Probably not. In reality, if I'm the host, would I want her there? No. But again, it's reality TV. We got to make something happen. And I like the fact that, like Nell, Destiny doesn't seem to be afraid of Melody and vice versa. I like that. You got to have that. If everybody on the show acquiesces to the queen bee, then it don't make for a good show. You got to have somebody on there that is willing to take on anybody. And that's Destiny. Whether you like her or not, she's willing to take somebody on if need be. And in this situation, I don't feel like she came in the situation trying to push anybody's buttons, but I did feel like people were trying to push her buttons and they took her to where she didn't want to go. That's what I do feel, particularly Sunny and particularly Dr. Shanita. And to be quite honest with you, even Letitia. If we're going to call out the mess, we're going to call out all the mess. Okay? We ain't cutting no corners today. Now, we get to dinner, get down to the table. I felt like despite the fact that Melody and Destiny don't get along, they was willing to to go along for the sake of keeping the peace. Until Dr. Shanita, who we find out knows Destiny because they used to work together at some department store or something like that, is like, well, girl, I heard about you and Sunny, but I'm on Sunny's side. So tell me your side so I can hear, so I can really hear what's going on. If I was Destiny, I'd have been like, I don't care what your side is. I don't care whose side you on. What I got to explain myself to you for? I don't even know you. Do you work here? Do you even go here? Like, what you up in my business for? And if you already on her side, what I need to tell you anything for? You know me longer, but you on her side? All right, cool. That's what's up. I would honestly just said exactly that. Do you even go here? Um, but again, I can't blame Dr. Shanita because she doing what she's supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? You come on a reality TV show. If you want to make your mark, you got to make your mark. And she's opinionated enough to do so. But what I'm saying is, had it been me, if I was Destiny, girl, I ain't talking to you about this. I ain't talking to her about it. Period. End of story. You go with the flow. Go wherever you want to flow with, because I don't care. I don't care about your opinion enough. I don't even think I'll see you tomorrow. So it is what it is. That's what I would have done. But Destiny's like, no, since you done brought it up, we're gonna talk about it. So they get into this timeline situation. Apparently Moses is still texting Destiny after he got with Sunny or whatever like that. And I'm like, you know, at the end of the day, I don't care, to be honest with you, because Sunny don't care. Sunny don't care that this man was texting God knows who. All she care about is the fact that she got a ring. And baby, if that's what floats your boat, go ahead and sail on. Okay. Sail on, and I just hope it ain't the Titanic because at the end of the day, you are real upset about something that you got, and I don't understand it. Why you mad at Destiny? And Sonny good then goes on to say, "Well, I was never your friend. Destiny, you should just take note of that. And everybody else at the table, y'all should take note of it too." Because to me, Dr. Shanita, if you really want to look at somebody as an op, then you might want to be directing the energy towards Sunny. But you're taking her side, likely because you know that Melody and Destiny don't get along. So typically, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And in this case, it looked like you making friend with Sunny because you don't like Destiny, because Melanie don't like Destiny. Melody and Destiny's issues are deeper than I feel like what we can actually get into in a review, because I do feel like there may have been some type of trauma bond in there. Let's get into that real quick because that's the next topic of conversation that Letitia brings up. Now, Letitia brings up Melody saying F Destiny. Melody then says, "Well, that's what I said yesterday, but it's all good." Not really. I mean, if you say F somebody, then you should just be like, "Yeah, I said it. That's how I feel. That's how I felt yesterday. That's how I feel today. Period." Next. And then Destiny pretty much agrees. We don't F with each other. Okay, cool. Leave it alone. Everybody back it on up. I agree with Kimmy. Now is not the time. Destiny just got into it with um Sunny, spearheaded by Dr. Shanita. She don't need to get into it with nobody else because now she's gonna be on 10. So Melody and her get into it. Melody is upset with Destiny. I believe Melody is upset with most of the original ladies because I believe she wanted more support from them when it came down to the idea of choosing her or Martell, period. And I think with Destiny, it probably hurt worse because I believe that they probably bonded a bit more through their trauma. And because Destiny was also Martell's friend first, from my understanding, I feel like she also felt a loyalty to him. Two things can be true. She could have been loyal to Melody. She also could have been a friend to Martell. I think that's what makes this show so fascinating, is because similar to Love and Marriage Detroit, you see what begins to happen when a couple breaks up, right? But with Love and Marriage Huntsville, it's far more advanced, right? They've been divorced at this point. The friendships have been fractured at this point, right? So the question then becomes, can a friend be in the middle of that divorce madness? And for some people, it just does not work. The person in the middle typically is just like the messenger, they always get shot. So 9 times out of 10, you got to pick a side. Should you have to in reality? No. But honestly, that's just the way it works in life. People expect you to pick a side. And when you don't pick their side, it hurts. That's just the facts. We can deny it all we want to, but that's how life works. And I just, again, I don't have no cut cards today because I'm tired. And I know that this probably gonna ruffle some people's feathers. But let's be real. Okay? Let's have some real conversations. That's what happens when when people get into relationships and it feels like friends choose one side or another. It hurts. It does. So I'm not gonna deny Melody her pain because I think it's real. I do think it's real, but I can't deny Destiny's either because I'm sure they both felt a significant loss when they feel like they lost each other, and that's where all of this hurt comes from, period. And so now, unfortunately, because of so much hurt, there's pain on both ends and perceptions on both ends now. And so it's hard to come back from all that. And then you're falling out with somebody that know your secrets on each end. So now those types of things are coming out. And it's unfortunate because I like the two of them as friends. I like both of them. So it's hard for me to watch it. You know what I'm saying? And seeing how it's all coming and falling apart. Melody feels like you riding with my ex and his at the time mistress. And Destiny's like, well, you talking about me talking to her or being around her, but you was having conversations with her. I just feel like, do I feel like Melody had conversations with her? I think she kind of admits that she did because the girl was calling her. But according to Destiny, you know, Mel was calling her too. I really don't know what to think about it. The only thing I can think is that if you're desperate to save your marriage, you're probably gonna do whatever you can to try to save it. That's the truth, right? And how many of you have had a friend that has been in a bad relationship and you told them to get out of it and they just did everything against what you said, right? Because they want to save it. They'll do whatever they can to do it. I think that's where Melody was at that time. I think she was desperate to keep her marriage, as most people would be. I think that at the time, Destiny tried to give her friend advice. I think they did the same thing for each other. So at the end of the day, I feel like it's unfortunate that they have gotten to this point, you know, and I think that these conversations between the two of them need to happen in private and not in front of a group. I do. And it's unfortunate. Do I think that they'll ever be friends again? Nah, not after all this. But that's probably for the best. And I think that they can move on and coexist as long as nobody keep trying to make them have these conversations because they don't need to have them. That's it, period. And if they do, they need to have them alone. The other thing that I would say is that, there's a comparison made for Dr. Shanita about Sunny and Moses and Destiny, equating that to Trisha and Ken and her ex. I think that situation is apples and oranges. And to be honest with you, I don't know enough about Dr. Shanita's own relationships to gauge whether or not she is equipped to hand out and dole out judgments on this group of friends. I just don't. I mean, Latricia is new as well, but I think that her situation is much more complicated. She has a man that basically walked out on her. Like, that's what's being unsaid in this conversation. And while I do think that that explanation would have gone a long way towards helping Dr. Shanita understand it, it's not necessarily her business for Latricia to even have to do that. But that's also what happens when you make a lot of judgments and opinions without knowing all the facts. You end up looking a little crazy. But again, it's reality TV. You got to be willing to look a little crazy. You know what I'm saying? And like Dr. Shanita or dislike her, she's getting the party started. And that's what we look for. Now, whether that lasts and is good for the show, I don't know, but it's definitely causing some controversy. All right, so there is that with Love and Marriage Huntsville. The next thing that I want to talk to you guys about is the Braxtons. We got a lot to talk about with this. Um, I caught up on the last 2 episodes because I missed last Friday's and then this Friday. But a lot of what we saw in these past 2 episodes had to deal with a couple of different things. One is the fact that we learned that Tracy left much of what was in her will at to the discretion of her son and not her husband, meaning her name, image, and likeness. These conversations were recorded with her and her attorney, and it sounds as though Kevin Sr. is upset that he was maybe left out of a lot of that, which I can understand his upset, but you can't be upset with your son at the end of the day. The best thing that you can do is help guide him in this moment to ensure that his mother's wishes are carried through and help him make good decisions so that he's not alone in this because you're both grieving someone that you loved. Now, his estrangement from the family, I cannot, I can't, I don't quite understand because when it was explained to Tawanda that production was trying to have a conversation with their father, Kevin Sr. and Kevin Jr., Tawanda got very upset about offering him a platform. As she went into explaining the Braxton history with Tracy not being able to sign with the rest of the girls, I really didn't understand how that equated to anything that had to do with Kevin Sr. So I appreciated her giving us context, but it didn't seem to relate to that decision. And that's just my thoughts. I didn't get it. If y'all understood it, let me know in the comment section down below. The other big element that happened over the course of these 2 episodes is we learn that Tamar reveals that she was the last sister to find out about Tracy's terminal illness. She says she found out by mistake. Nobody sat her down and told her anything until about 2 weeks before. I'm assuming it was 2 weeks before Tracy's untimely passing. I feel a lot of ways. I was looking at the comments. To be honest with you, I feel like if the family needed to honor Tracy's wishes, then that's what they needed to do. Don't necessarily know what the relationship between Tracy and Tamar was like leading up to that point, but if she wanted Tamar to know, then she would have let her know. And I do feel like it's important to follow people's wishes when it comes to their health, um, in the same way that we're being asked to respect Tamar's wishes when it comes to her and her mental health, right? Granted, apples and oranges, to be quite fair with you, okay? I do know that. But what I'm saying is people's health is very sensitive, and I don't know the reasons why Tracy didn't tell her. All we do know is that there was at some point some sort of rift between the two of them, and we do know from that last season of the Braxtons that there was a rift between Tracy and the sisters in general. So I'm not sure how that was all healed or resolved. What I do know is that the lesson for me was that life is short. And however you can make amends with your family or your friends in this moment in time, do so. Because the lesson that I took from that was you just never know what's going on with people. And so you have to give people grace. And that's this one of the things that I've decided with Tamar is as I listen to her talk through the episodes, she talks a lot about mental health, a lot about mental health. And then I look at some of the things that have happened online with what appear to be social media outbursts, which appear to be slightly erratic at times and chaotic in terms of the relationship aspect and things that have happened. Um, And with her being so focused on mental health on the show, I have my own theories and thoughts about it, but I don't think it's for me to say or speculate publicly. I think that she is in charge of her story, but I am going to start giving her a bit more grace because I do think that with the heavy emphasis on mental health, that there could be something larger at play. I don't necessarily know that to be true, but I personally feel like I'm gonna try to offer her a bit more grace because I do feel like she is dealing with something that maybe she is not necessarily ready to share yet. And I don't know this to be true. I'm just simply making an educated guess. And so my own stance on that at this point in time is that I'm going to try to, like I said, offer a bit more grace to Tamar because something is happening and I want to be sensitive to that. And that's just me and where I'm at in my own journey as a commentator, someone who is watching these shows, someone who is trying his hardest to make sense of what I'm seeing at times, because I do think, especially in light of how deep and heavy this particular season of the Braxtons has been, it just really opens my mind to the idea that there are things at play with some of our favorite reality TV stars. And maybe, like many of us, they are trying to make their way through in a way that makes sense for them, but may not make sense for us. Right. So, as easy as it is to judge and sometimes look at her as her own worst enemy, I also think that it's also important now, especially as I continue to watch, is to kind of be a bit more gentle with how I respond to what I'm seeing. Um, I think it's unfortunate that she was the last to know about Tracy's illness, and I wish that it would have been different. But for whatever reason, I felt like the family chose to respect Tracy's wishes, and I can respect that as well. So I don't know. You guys let me know what you think. Let me know what your thoughts are about where Tamar is and what you're hearing and seeing on the screen. Um, Again, I didn't have the strength or the energy to have any cut cards today, so I just gave you how I felt, and I can only do my best with that. So make sure you guys subscribe to the channel if you like this type of content. As you guys know, I'm typically a bit more unhinged and a bit more off the rails, but I am doing my best to even stay awake at this point because the jet lag is real. So with that being said, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell button. Listen, while I'm talking about this jet lag, in about 2 weeks, I'm headed to Bali with the crew who have all signed up to come, which I'm so thankful for. But we also still have our Thailand trip in March, March 1st through the 7th. If you are interested, click the link in the description down below. It says stand.store/DJ Richie Skye. All my courses, all my books, all the trips, everything is located there for your convenience. Now, with that being said, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell button, slap that like button if you like reality TV related content, and I will catch you in the next video.